Hello and welcome to Gapeys Grow Room. I mentioned in my last video on my seed haul that I don't start seeds in January, which is still true with the exception of microgreens. So I did start some microgreens recently, but I don't really count those because you can grow those pretty much any time of year. But I thought since I'm getting prepared for the seed starting season, I would give you a little update and tell you what it is that I use for seed starting and stuff that I use in my grow room. And also, one of my favorite places to order supplies from is Greenhouse Megastore. And I just got a delivery today for some stuff that I ordered, so I thought I'd show you what I got from them. All right, let's start with the Greenhouse Megastore haul. This box is just all a case of these 2.5-inch square containers. So I go through a lot of these every year. And I do save them year after year, but I also sell quite a bit. So a lot of those get sold with plants in the spring. And then I also have another case of containers in this box. And these ones are ones that I use for peppers, and I might use these for tomatoes as well. But these are 3.5-inch containers. But they're extra tall, much taller than your standard 3.5-inch square containers. So I really use these a lot. I also use these for starting onions. And then this last box has some plant labels. So I really like these plant labels from Greenhouse Megastore. They come in these huge rolls, but I've gone through probably 3 of these, well, 2 of these. This is my 3rd roll that I've ordered from Greenhouse Megastore in the last few years. But I can't remember how many are in here, but there is quite a few, like, I don't know, it might be 500 or something. But I also ordered some markers. So these are supposed to be UV protected markers. I usually use pencils so that I can erase the labels and reuse those. But they are kind of hard to see. They don't fade though, which is nice. But I thought I'd give these a try and we'll see how these do. I got 2 different sizes. This one's a thicker one, and then this one's the thinner one. I decided to get a new grow tent for the grow room. I don't start seeds in the grow tent, so I'm not going to really go over that, but I thought I'd give you a little sneak peek at that setup. I'll save a grow tent tour for another video. I have 2 shelving units here in the grow room. I've got the right shelf here is all LED lights, and then the shelf on the left is shop lights using fluorescent T8 bulbs. So these are my favorite. The fluorescent seem to do really well for seed starting. And then once they grow a little bit bigger, I move them under these LED lights, or at least the taller ones that I grow go under the LEDs. So I've got 2 different LED panels. I've got the Mars Hydro TS1000, and then this one is the Spider Farmer SF1000. They both work really well. I'd highly recommend either one for a grow shelf. They both have dimmer switches. I've got a whole comparison video on the 2 lights if you want to check it out. But on the bottom shelf is where I've got some new Mars Hydro VG 80s, I believe is what they're called. So many different names and model numbers to remember. This is where I've got my microgreens growing. So I just started these a couple days ago, and I've got radishes and arugula in both of these trays. And I'm kind of comparing 2 different mats. We've got the jute mat over here, and then this one here is a hemp mat. I also want to give a cocoa coir mat a try also, but so far the jute mat is looking much better, but we'll see how it goes in a few more days and see if it continues to do better. I went ahead and turned on the LED lights so you can see them a little bit better, and also so you could see these trays a little bit better. So I got these trays several years ago from Bootstrap Farmer. They're super sturdy and won't ever crack or break on you. These ones are labeled as microgreen trays, so they're a lot thinner, or not thinner, but they're not as tall as the other ones. I do have some of the regular seed starting 1020 trays here. You can see they're a lot taller. These are probably close to 2 inches tall, while these ones over here are maybe 1 inch tall. But I really like both of those. These ones here are a little bit cheaper. I think $10 cheaper for a pack of 10 of them right now. But I would highly recommend these. Epic Gardening also has some really sturdy trays that are very similar. If you're looking for trays, if I didn't already have these, I'd probably get his. As for the T8 fixtures I'm using on these shelves, they're kind of a hodgepodge of different ones. You can see they're all different ones. This one, I kind of like this one because the lights inside are more spaced apart, whereas these ones here are really close together, so the spread isn't as good. But I've got, I think, 4 different sources of these fixtures. They came from Lowe's, Amazon, all kinds of different places. But I still use them, and they work really well. They put off more heat than the LEDs, which is one of the reasons I like using them for seed starting, because it is a little bit cold in this room. So it just helps heat up the seedlings and they grow a little bit better. Now the bottom shelf on both of these racks are used for storing trays and containers. I also use a lot of these 6-cell and 4-cell trays. These are the really flimsy ones. So I do reuse those until they basically start falling apart. I also have some more sturdy ones, but I do seem to use these ones a lot more because I do sometimes sell my starts in these, and I don't want to sell those really expensive sturdy ones. I also like using these ones a lot. These are a wider cell for 6 cells. And then I also like to use these single cells for starting things like flowers and herbs. And then I transplant them to larger cells once they germinate. I've got a lot of these little tiny ones here, but I don't really use these ones too much. These are a more sturdy one, but like I said, I don't use those too much. I've got a little bit of these left over from last year, but I showed you all the new ones that I ordered because I was almost out. I've also got some 4-inch square pots that I use occasionally. And then these are all my extra 10-20 trays. These are a little bit more flimsy ones. These are from Greenhouse Megastore that I bought several years ago, but I use these for my plant sale to store the starts in. I have some more seed starting things over here on the bottom shelf of this one. This one has a lot of the more sturdy trays. This one here is from Never Sink Farm, and I have to admit I don't really like these too much. They work pretty well, except for this little square in the middle is really kind of a waste of space. Soil always gets stuck in there, and it just isn't very efficient, I guess. But it does work pretty well for root pruning. There's slits on the side, pretty wide holes on the bottom, so they work fairly well, except for, that waste of space. I've got some this size, and then I've got some smaller 6-cell ones as well. But I did try those out for the first time last year, and I don't know. I don't think they're the best. So I do, however, have some from Epic Gardening, and I do like his design a lot better. So you can see they look more like your regular 6-cell tray, except for the fact that they have fairly large bottoms and the slits along the sides like the ones from Never Sink Farm, but there's not that wasted space in the middle. I've got 2 different sizes from Epic Gardener. I've got this 6-cell one, and then I've also got this larger 4-cell one back here that works really good. So I do like his design much better than the Never Sink ones. Also on the shelf I have a stack of humidity domes. Most of them are from Greenhouse Megastore on the bottom, but this one here on top, I got this one from Epic Gardening last year, which is kind of a different design. You can see it's a lot more bulky. I wasn't sure about it at first, but I ended up really liking it a lot because my plant labels are a little on the taller side and those standard ones aren't quite tall enough. So this one is plenty tall, so I really like that one a lot. But I do still use these regular ones from Greenhouse Megastore as well. They are a little bit more sturdy than the ones that you usually get with the seed starting kits. They are sturdy enough that they do last quite a while. I have quite a few different power strips. I think I've got at least 3 different ones around the grow room, but this one is probably my favorite. This one's from a brand called BN Link that I got on Amazon. It's got 4 outlets for that you can use a timer on, and then these 4 are always on. So I usually use the always on one for like heat mats or something like that. And then the lights use the timed switches. It has a built-in battery, so if the power does go out, it doesn't lose your alarm settings and stuff, which is pretty cool. But this is a really good interface, and I like this one a lot. The only thing this one doesn't have is USB ports on it, which I think is pretty useful because I do have some USB fans that I like to use occasionally. I also have this power strip here, which is a smart power strip that has 4 USBs as well as 4 of the regular outlets, but this is one you have to use an app to control, so each of these outlets you can set a different time to if you wanted to. It's not my favorite. If the power does go out, I think it kind of messes with the settings, so I don't really like this one. I do like that it has the USB ports on it though. One of my favorite little tools that I got on Amazon is this bottle cap thing you can attach to a standard bottle, and it puts out a really nice stream of water that you can use to water your seedlings and your microgreens. Back here in the corner is a bunch of miscellaneous things. My favorite seed starting mix is Jiffy Organic, so I just bought a big bag of that from Amazon for a pretty decent price. I think that's the biggest bag that they have. It's, I think, 12 quarts. And then I've got a bag of perlite back there. I sometimes add that to potting soil, depending on how much perlite the potting soil has. I've also got a bag of Pro Mix back there that's kind of old. That's one of the things I still need to purchase is some potting soil, because I really like the Pro Mix because I've never had any problem with fungus gnats with that, but I can't seem to find it anywhere locally. So I'm hoping to find some here pretty soon because I'll be needing it soon. I have a bunch more miscellaneous things here in the other corner of the grow room. I've got a stack of heat mats here, and I didn't realize I had so many heat mats. So I've got, I think, 4 of these 10 by 20 size, and all brands are pretty much, they work the same. I think all 4 of these are different brands, but I haven't had any problems with any of those. And then I've got 2 of these really big mats. So these are, I think they're 4 times the size of a 10 by 20, but they fit the grow shelves perfectly. So I usually use those for when I start the peppers, and they also fit perfectly in the grow tent. So I do use those once I get the seeds going. I've also got thermostats here for all of them. It's pretty important to get one of these if you're going to get a grow mat, because they do get really hot if you don't. And you can see they're all different brands. And then I've also got a box full of fans and other who knows what. I think some old lights in there. I've got this old light that I used in the grow tent that I'll probably end up selling. I've got a little dehumidifier that I bought for the grow tent. I don't think I've actually used that yet, but I might use it this year. And then I've got some more T8 bulbs here in the corner for the light fixtures. I think that pretty much covers all my seed starting supplies that I use in the grow room every year. I hope you found something that you might want to add to your own grow room. I'll put a link to my Amazon store where you could find all of the equipment that I talked about today, except for a few things that were found on other websites. I'll include links to those as well. If you start your own seeds and have tools that you use that you didn't see me talk about, let me know in the comments below, and maybe I'll add them to my list. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you again soon. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. You can also find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.